Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to General English class, first semester BCom, session 26, affiliated to Bangalore University. We were looking at the lesson called The My Teacher by Helen Keller. Before we continue with the lesson, let's have a quick recap. This lesson is an extract from the autobiography written by Helen Keller called The Story of My Life, written in the year 1903. It is an inspiring story of a person who discovered the world through her fingertips with the help of a great and dedicated teacher. One cannot name one without thinking of the other, since the two lived and worked together interdependently for decades until Sullivan's death in 1936. This particular lesson talks about the day Anne Mansfield Sullivan, the teacher and instructor for Helen Keller, entered her life. It was on 3rd March 1887 when Helen Keller was 7 years old. Anne Sullivan entered her life. According to Helen Keller, that was the most important day of her life. On that particular day, in the afternoon, Helen Keller stood on the porch, dumb, expectant. She did not know what to expect. She was waiting eagerly for her teacher's arrival. She was not sure what the future held for her. She was a kind of a person who was always angry and bitter. We could naturally understand how a young girl, being deaf, blind, and dumb, is very difficult. She compares herself to a ship which was in a dense fog, which didn't have a compass or a sounding line. Obviously, the ship will not know where the harbor was, where the shore was. She too was anxious and tense. She was waiting for something to happen. Her soul was crying. There was a cry deep within her, asking for light, a light of wisdom, a light of knowledge. Light, give me light, was the wordless cry of her soul. She says she was asking for light of wisdom and knowledge, but she got light of love on that particular hour. As she felt the approaching footsteps, she held her hand out as she used to do to her mother. The hand caught her and held it close in her arms. The person was the one who had come to reveal all things to her. More than that, to love her. The next day, Anne Sullivan gave Helen Keller a doll which the blind children at the Perkins Institute had sent it for her. Helen Keller was fascinated, was happy to receive a gift. After playing with it for a while, Anne Sullivan slowly spelled into her hand the word DOLL. Helen Keller was fascinated by this finger play and tried to imitate. She just tried to imitate because she didn't know that it had some meaning, it was a spelling of something, or word really existed. She was unaware of all these things. But later, she realized that they were words and they had meanings and they were spellings. Thus, she learned lots of words in the following days. But it took her several weeks to understand that everything had a name. Let's now continue with the lesson. One day, Anne Sullivan and Helen Keller had a tiff. They had a fight, a quarrel, could be. You know, because Anne Sullivan was trying to make Helen Keller understand that MUG, mug, and WATER, water, were two different things. Helen Keller was not able to understand this. How much ever Anne Sullivan tried, she couldn't. As a result, Helen Keller became very angry and threw the doll, which was given by the blind children at the Perkins Institute, and broke the doll. She did not feel any emotion for her action. In fact, she felt happy for breaking the doll. Later, in the afternoon, Anne Sullivan took Helen Keller out. She was too happy to go out. Anne Sullivan took her to a well house and started pumping the water. Then she made her to keep her hand in the spout. She could feel the water. That moment she realized the meaning of water. When she was touching the water, Anne Sullivan started spelling the word WATER. Then that's when she realized that the cool liquid thing, that which is flowing in her hand, is water. There was a revelation. There was a light. She started seeing things in a different way. She was so happy. She left the well house with a renewed spirit to learn a lot of things. And that's when she realized everything had a name and everything had a meaning and every word had a spelling. As soon as she got back home, she ran into her room and saw and could see the broken pieces. She couldn't see, but she could feel. The first time, she felt bad for breaking the doll, felt sorry and guilty for her action. That too for the first time. She tried to put it together, but she couldn't. But in the following days, she learned a lot of words. She was overjoyed. She knew that it is a different world. And for the first time in her life, she longed for another day to come so that she could learn many more words. Thus, as a young child, as a 7-year-old, Anne Sullivan entered her life and showed her the path of knowledge and wisdom. There was a yearning to learn, and that's what made her to achieve what she was. Yes, when you set a mind to something, there will be definitely a success. But when you have a right person to guide you, to motivate you, that's when success becomes fruitful. Thank you.